Welcome to another episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got the Stone Sailor. What's up,
Yo,
man?
what's up, Stacky baby?
Chilling.
Hey,
How have
good.
you been, bro?
I'm great, man. Good to see you, man. And you look great and everything. And I'm real
Thank you.
proud of all the stuff you've been doing. And it's good to be back on the show, man. All right, thanks for having me. And I got a blunt ready since we're gonna be doing some prison stories. Let me set the mood.
Yeah, man. So I appreciate you taking your time coming on my show. My audio's acting up a little bit, but whatever. We'll get through it, man. So, what year did you become a correction officer? And you went from being in the military to being from military police right into being a correction officer?
Yep, military policeman, canine handler. Um, Bomb detection, drug detection. I was the chief master at arms on board the USS Mount Whitney. That's the admiral ship of Sixth Fleet. I worked directly for the Mount Whitney commanding officer. I mean, I was the investigator. I taught everything: shooting, defensive tactics. Anyway, I retired from a military career in 2012, and I went right into the Bureau of Prisons as a corrections officer.
So, what was it like going from being in the military to going to the prison? I remember you saying on your first day, you're like, anyone do some crazy shit around me, I'm turning your ass in, right?
Well, no, that was actually when I got hired. I was saying that to other officers. I wasn't saying that to any of the inmates.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When I got hired, they wanted me to introduce myself, and I just told them who I was, Rob Farlow, and I said, "Look, if you do something wrong in front of me, I'll report you." I don't play that fuck shit. So I just wanted to let people know. I'm here to do a job. I'm not down with violating no one's rights. I ain't down with no corruption. Ain't bringing nothing in. I ain't down with none of that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do my job to the best of my ability, and I'm gonna uphold my integrity, because of what happened with my dad and everything.
Yeah, because you're looking at it from a different point of view, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like all these people that, when I was a kid that said, aha, your dad's in prison, you're going to grow up and be just like him, like I wouldn't, to me, there's no amount of money that could ever, I don't care if it's $100 million. I would never do anything to let those bastards say they were right. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't give them the satisfaction. That's why I was zero. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't down with any of that corrupt shit. And, that's how I was. That's how I rolled as a military policeman. That's how I rolled as a CO. Oh, and as far as like, hey, you know what it was? Honestly, it was just a different uniform, different battlefield. But it was the same war, just a different battlefield. You know what I'm saying? I stepped on a battlefield in Iraq. I stepped on a battlefield at the penitentiary. It's just the same war, just a different uniform is what it is.
What's up, Mike Beck? How you doing, man? Thanks for watching, bro. I appreciate you. So,
Plus, like I said, my dad had been in prison. I kind of grew up in prison visiting rooms. My cousin was in prison. My brother was in prison. Like everybody, So I was just one of them dudes, and I'm like, listen, man, I'm gonna live my life, the straight way. You know what I mean? I know what kind of trouble and heartache that brings to the family with drugs and prison. I know it. I was a victim of that. So I just said to myself, I'm gonna, go do something worthwhile in my life. You all right? You still there?
damn, it cut out. So does anything really stand out to you when you first started the job?
Um, Not really. I mean, I was kind of, like with my dad, and just like I kind of knew. I mean, my dad schooled me, the whole time. I mean, I was kind of. I don't want to say I was kind
Yeah.
of
Did
my whole
anything
life.
surprise you when you went there? Did anything surprise you?
No, not
No.
really. The only thing. Well, the only keep going out. The only thing that surprised me about prison was the business model of it. How these guys were getting 20 and 30 years for crack, no violence, nobody got hurt, no gun. And then you had a pedophile get 4 or 5 years. And this poor kid got caught with some crack and he's doing 25, 27 years. And he's got to watch this pedophile come and go while he still has to sit in because he had crack cocaine. That's what surprised me, the waste. Not only the waste of taxpayers' money, but the waste of life. For what? For drugs?
It is. I think going to prison is a total waste of life, man. You're just sitting there and the time's going by and you're just sitting there doing nothing. Not like absolutely
and I'm saying
nothing.
I'm not, yeah, and I'm saying, look, if a guy's a drug addict and he's got dope and it's personal use, I don't think it should be a crime personally. I think they should handle it just like Portugal, like Oregon. They take it, they give them a little ticket. They can go to a 3-day rehab class, not pay, or they have to pay
Chop their fingers off. Chop their fingers off when they keep doing it. Chop their hand off.
But if you got a drug, I mean, listen, these guys were drug dealers. Okay, yeah, they should be punished. But Jesus Christ, the time they give out for the crack cocaine, you would think they killed people, and they didn't. Yeah, it's a for-profit system. That's the problem. We shouldn't have for-profit prisons in the United States of America. Those shouldn't exist.
They're private too, right? Did you work at the private one, or?
I worked at the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the BOP, but I knew a lot of co-workers that came from private prisons. I was surprised they even had, I'm like, private prisons? And the one kid was telling me that used to work there, and he said, yeah, if we keep people in there, then every 3 months they get bonuses. Bonuses? To keep the beds full. What? You understand what I'm saying? It's a business.
The private prison is only state prison, though, right? It's not the feds, too.
Depends on the contract. The Federal Bureau of Prisons do contract with some private prisons. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep. Well, all these. Go ahead.
What was your first job that they you went to? What was the first prison you worked at?
My first job was at a pizza shop. That was my first job.
First prison you worked at, man.
Oh, the first prison I went to a place called FCC Coleman, which is a federal correctional complex, which is the largest federal correction complex in the United States of America. We have 2 penitentiaries, which one is an active high security, which is the one I worked at. The other pen is more of a what they call a drop pen. We have a medium for medium male inmates. We had a low, and we had a camp, a female camp. So there was literally 4 or 5 prisons in one area, and as a correctional officer there, you're stationed at one of them, but you have the opportunity to work at every one of them.
Yeah, like you got to fill in for someone else or something like that, right?
Yeah, and you know what the scariest prison I ever worked in was?
The females one. The female one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I went working in the penitentiary. That's easy. Working in that female joint as a male, no, you don't want none of that, bro. You don't want to be there. I don't think males should be watching over females in prison. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. It causes too much trouble, and those girls, man, those girls will they'll run so much game on you.
I think it's the same thing as females working in a male facility. I don't think they should.
Well, I've seen some good females that were able to calm males down that were violent, because some of them guys, most of them, still had kind of a conduct. We don't hit girls.
That's what they do. When I was in prison, I was in state prison. There was a little riot that popped off, and they sent this short lady in there, man. None of the guards would come in there.
But did anybody hit the lady? Did anybody hit the lady?
No, they all listened to her. They went in their cells, and
I know. I've seen that. Listen, we had an officer, and they kept putting drop notes. They were saying they were going to rape her in a closet, and she had a redhead. She was a redhead, a white girl, and the bikers in the prison, they were all like whatever they were, outlaws and all. They were like, they had somebody within 5 feet of her every time she was in that unit. They're like,
you mean the guards though, right?
Yeah,
you mean the guards, yeah. You mean the guards or the inmates? Oh,
The
the
bikers.
inmates. Yeah, the
They
inmates
were
that are in there.
protecting the officer. They were watching her. They wouldn't let any, like, they were like, ain't nobody going to take you in a closet and rape you. That shit ain't happening. They were watching her.
Is there any situations that popped off in the prison that stand out in your head when you first started working there and you're like, holy shit?
Well, I mean, the sentences for crack cocaine is the most. Then, I mean, of course, then you have the people that mutilate themselves, and then you have the Picasso guys that like to draw art with feces on their cell from their, their Picasso painters. And I mean, guys that would just cut their arm, cut their penis off, pull their guts out. Like, it was just like, and I would ask this guy, one day he just walked in the shower, cut his throat, and just like squatted down. And it was by sheer grace of God that one of the officers looked in the shower that minute and saw him like bleeding. And I would ask him, I would be like, why do you do this? And he literally was like, I don't know. I get like a sexual release from it. He told me this. And I said, Jesus Christ, that guy's got mental problems. Like, you know what I mean? Who's going to cut their throat? And I used to tell him, promise me you won't do that on my ship. Promise me if you have those feelings, you'll let me know.
You wait till the next guy shows up.
Yeah. If I say, if you have these, I don't care if I'm working and it's 4:00, whatever, in the morning, knock on your door if you have these issues, because I don't want to see all that fucking blood, bro. Because I didn't think a human being, he cut his throat in the shower. I didn't think a human being could still live after losing that much blood. I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't get too graphic, man. This is YouTube. Get me banned, bro. Shout out to Red.
I'm banned from MTV. No, I'm kidding.
Yankees for life. What's up, man? I'm back in the shuffle, bro. I'm gonna be I'm back.
And as you know, I did Chad's show yesterday. It's been a big success.
Yeah, it's going on right now, man. I would have rescheduled this if I would have known that he was gonna have a show around 7. Shout out to Chad.
I know. We didn't know. I know you didn't know. I just saw Chad's doing his show right now, so I don't want to, but yeah, definitely. It's been it was an experience, it was an eye-opener. I think every American, I truly believe this, every American should spend one night in jail. I think when you turn 18, they should lock you in the county jail for the night.
Yeah,
I think that I really do. I think even if your mom and dad are kicking and screaming, I think it should be like registering the vote. You got to go spend a night in the can, because you will really one night. That's it. One night, and not in general population. We don't want people get, but one night of sitting there behind the doors, having them locked, getting a bologna sandwich with something disgusting on it, and having to eat it, and realize, you know what I'm saying? Just realize what your freedoms are. And it'll make you think twice maybe about doing something stupid and ending up back in there. You know what I mean? Next time, you know what I'm saying? Ordered by a judge. I think it would do a lot of good to scare kids, straight.
So did you see any of the guards that were mistreating any of the people in there?
Anyone I saw that did it, I reported them. And yes, I reported some.
So is there any situations that stand out that you could talk about?
Well, the one time I was on dry cell and I had a lieutenant tell me to leave a man in his own feces and not give him a new gown. And I told her on the phone, I'm like, no, I can't do that. And she's like, yeah, but he's making things very difficult for us. I'm like, sorry, I'm not getting involved in that fucking 8th Amendment, whatever, cruel and unusual punishment fucking, shit. Sorry, I'm giving him a gown. I gave him the gown. I got somebody else to get it. I wrote it in my blog book. I made it an official record, everything. And as soon as the morning came, because it was in the middle of the night, I called in the morning, 8 o'clock, I called the investigators. And I told them, and they fucking came in and took the log book and conducted an investigation. Like I said, anytime there was something, that I felt there was misconduct, and I would tell people, if I do something wrong, then you should report me, and a lot of guys would get, oh, he's a hug a thug, and they would threaten to plant drugs. Yeah. I had them telling me they were threatening to plant drugs in my car one
Yeah,
time.
you
I
said
forgot to say that.
you had like no, we talked about that. You had like a Jeep or something, and they said you
I
should
had a
give me
Jeep.
the cops.
I was a soft top Jeep, and it's Florida, man. I bought the Jeep when I was in the military. I'm like, I got it for Florida. No top, the little bikini top. This dude told me one day, he's like, "Hey, Farlow, man, you might want to buy a top for that Jeep." I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "Everything's waterproof, even the floors. There's like ducts where the water can go out and shit." I was living the
Yeah.
life. I thought I was fucking Magnum PI, right? So fucking, I got the fucking Jeep, and he's like, and I'm like, "Nah, I got a bikini top for it. I don't." And he's like, "No, man, someone, you never know. Someone might try to put something in your Jeep." And then, I'm like, "Put something in my Jeep? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, you're not the most popular guy here
Is that
amongst."
when they said that to you? Were you like, "Holy
Then
shit"?
it
I didn't
clicked.
think of
Then
that.
it clicked in, and I'm like, "Oh, so you're saying that you think someone may throw drugs in my car and then call the police and say that I have drugs in my car at the prison?" Like, and he just walked away and just gave me a look, and I'm like, "You motherfucker." I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, "Man, these motherfuckers are, but you never know." I mean, I did give a statement against another officer, a lieutenant. I mean, I did do that, you know, so
So
there
after
wasn't,
that,
and listen, I worked
after
with a
he
lot of,
said that, you're watching
yeah.
your back, right?
Well, I kind for a second, like for a couple days, like before, like when I get off work, I would just like walk around my car and open it and just kind of like give it a little look, just to make, because
You're
it
like
was a
giving it a
Jeep, so it
poke.
was easy. It was easy to search. You know what I'm saying? There's only a few places they could put it, unless they put it on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but it didn't change my game, bro. It didn't change my game.
So how long did you work at that prison for?
8 years before I got my injury. Yep, 8 years.
Damn.
Yep. And like
So
I said, I met some really good people at the job that were great correctional officers. I met some shitbags too. I met some of the most interesting inmates in the world. I mean, a lot of people have misconception about, everyone thinks everyone's in jail for murder and rape and all that. They don't realize we have, people that are in prison, in federal prison, for like hacking into a computer, um, smuggling alligator hides, too many illegal alligator hides. Like, you have people in there for some dumbass shit, bro.
who are some of the people that you met when you were there?
Well, it was just, I met a lot of people, some famous, infamous, but I met a lot of guys in there that were way, way super intelligent, way more intelligent than me, way more educated than me. And of course I met, guys infamous. Oh, geez. Well, I met Whitey Bulger. I met the mafia cop, Caracapka. I used to talk with him all the time.
That was the bigger guy,
Um,
right?
no, that's the other one, Eppolito.
Oh,
I knew Caracapka,
yeah,
Stephen Caracapka.
the skinny one with the glasses. I could get a
Yeah,
picture of.
Chad used to sell up with him.
Chad did?
Yeah, Chad used to sell up with him.
Damn.
And yeah, that guy had eyes like a killer, bro. He had eyes like a fucking, they were like ice, staring into ice, man. Yep. He was a skinny dude too, real skinny. Grew his hair real long. But then
What
after
did
a
you guys
while,
talk about?
well, I told him I read the book that this detective Tommy Dade wrote about him. I said, I read the book and I read your partner's book, Mafia Cop. I read both books. I told him that right off the shoot, right out of the shoot. And
Yeah.
he was just kind of looking at me like, Jesus. And I said, yeah. And I started talking to him about like being on a department. You got to remember, he was a Vietnam vet and I was an Iraq vet. So vets kind of bond. And I knew, yeah, that's him. And I knew he was a
He's
Vietnam
dead
vet.
now. He's dead now,
Yeah,
right?
he's dead. He died. Yeah, he died. Yeah, he had prostate cancer. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep,
he's one
that's
of
him.
my
So we would talk about the military. He would tell me about Vietnam. I would tell him about Iraq. And then, we would go on to the police, his work on the police force and, what I did in the Navy with K9. And we just kind of gradually walk through his life. Yeah, his life. So, and then and then I told him I read the books. He knew that. And then one day we were having a conversation and we were talking about some people. hold on, let me get my medicine. We were talking to some people about some people like that detective Bo Dietl. We were talking about there was another guy, cop, ex-cop at the Low named Justin Volpe. He was the NYPD officer that shoved the broomstick up Abner Lowina's ass. The guy in New York, the cop. Yeah, I had him too. But anyway, Kara Kopka and I would talk, and we would, talk about different things. And one day he looked at me and goes, look, Farlow, believe what you want, but there's one thing I could say. I never ratted on anybody in my entire life. And I come and I walk the penitentiary and nobody has a problem with me. So, you know what I mean? That was his way, I guess, of telling me, you don't ask him, hey, was it true? He knew I read the books. I said the Eppolito, your buddy, wrote that book, and on the Sally Jesse Raphael show, that's how all this shit got started.
You kind of put him out there,
yeah.
You want to tell the people what happened?
Well, yeah, he basically, the buddy wanted to be an actor. He was actually in Goodfellas, Louis Eppolito. He played Fat Tony, the Fat Tony, one of the wise guys, like a big top wise guy for the Gambinos. He played him in the movie, Fat Andy's father. And he wanted to be an actor. He wanted to do all these things. And he wrote this book, and he ended up on the Sally Jesse Raphael show. And you could watch the interview of him on the Sally Jesse Raphael show, which was a popular show back in like the 90s. Some of your audience is probably young, but it's still on YouTube. And he wrote this book about his uncle and his father were in the mob, and then he became a cop because they were like top level Gambinos, his father and uncle. And so
he was getting paid off by the Gambinos
he and Kara Kopka were on the take, man. These guys were making like, I don't know, $5-6 grand a month just running names for them and what have you. And then they started hitting guys for them. So this lady recognized him because her son, they accidentally picked up the wrong guy. The Kara Kopka ran the guy's name and they had an address, but it wasn't the right guy. It was the same name, but the wrong guy. It was a kid, a young, innocent kid. And instead of killing him, they got this young kid who had nothing to do with it, but had the same name. And the mother remembered who the detectives were that took him out of the house. And when she was watching Sally Jesse Raphael, she said, that was the cop that took my son that day. And from there, she kept calling. Yeah. And I said that to Steven. I said, your friend really fucked up writing that book. And he kind of looked at me and went, yeah, I know. I'm like, you still good with him? He goes, yeah, we're okay. That's what he said to me.
Here's the
They were with, what's his name? Gas Pipe.
Yeah, they were killing a lot of people for him, man.
Yeah.
Family of innocent man slain in mob hit wants road cops to rot. It was crazy.
Yep.
That's a crazy story. Yeah. They need to make a movie about something like that, man. That would
they
be
do. The Mafia Cops, definitely. That's a hell of a fucking. You can go and watch that on. Just watch the little documentary they have on it. But yeah, I remember him. He was an avid reader. He used to read a lot of books. And Staxx, you're like Houdini today, man. You keep disappearing on me.
Damn, man, my camera. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, my camera's got a short.
Where'd you get that? I thought you just got a new camera. Where'd you get that? Out of a fucking trunk of a car?
Out of a Cracker Jack box.
Oh, that man. Back of fucking 10 trucks? Because that's why it don't work.
Yeah, I don't know what's up. I have a real nice camera, bro.
And then Alley Boy Persico, Carmine Persico's son, great guy, real, just a gentleman, And I asked him about Michael Francis. Michael Francis, they put him away. Michael Francis was in his family. I don't know if he put him away, but I asked him about him, and he was just a gentleman. He was like, very, he would just kind of give you a look and go, well, what do you think? Like he would reverse say, but he was a real smart guy. He got accepted to like St. John's. I mean, this guy was he was in like 2-3 years of college, and he ended up dropping out to, join the mafia, to follow in his father's footsteps. I kind of felt bad for him because he just kind of was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Yeah, him. Mm-hmm.
This guy?
Mm-hmm.
He's back in prison, isn't he?
He's life. He's got life.
Yeah,
He's got
it's
a life
crazy,
sentence.
man.
Yeah, yeah. I used to talk to him about it. It was no. He has nothing. No appeals. Nothing.
So he's
So
not. Did he want to be a part of the mob? Was he? Is that what he
well, I
wanted to
mean,
do?
I just one day I asked him. We were talking, and see, a lot of the inmates would wonder why the hell he was talking to me. So they started thinking that I might. They started thinking I was like connected or something. Some of the officers would like say that, but because I was the one of the only guys that he would talk to. Yeah, him. And I talked to him because I knew who he was. So um, and after a while, like, he just got comfortable, and I was never disrespectful. I was never, I'd also ask him how he was doing and all that. And I did that to everybody, but like, we just started chit chatting, and he was very knowledgeable about, like, we would talk about just like political stuff and all kinds of stuff, and sports and stuff. And he just read the newspaper every day. He was like real up on a lot of shit, and pretty smart guy. He's not,
He's
unfortunately, it's a wasted life.
Yeah, he's been to prison for a long time, man. Like his whole life almost. His father was in
Yep.
prison his whole life.
Yep. And just as as a 10th, going to college for 2 years and then just deciding, well, did he decide or did someone make that decision for him?
Just like Michael Francis, he went to college too, didn't he? And left
Mhm.
college to go to the mafia.
So yeah, he was trying to be a doctor to go to medical school. Yeah, it's a wasted talent, man. And
So yo, what are you?
it's
Nah, go ahead.
no, I think it serves as a cautionary tale for everyone. You just, God, to lose your freedom, to be sitting in that place with a life sentence hanging over your head. I mean, you talk about, if you ever seen like disparity in a human being, knowing that they'll never get out. Like, the guys that accept it, they
Bro,
understand.
I
They kind of,
I spent tiny amounts of time in prison and it sucked, man. Like just
oh, you got guys,
wasting
dude.
away
You
those
got
days. And I can't even imagine, bro. I can't
the,
even
the guys
imagine.
who get you the biggest trouble. You look at their thing and they're like 8 years. You're like, get the fuck out of here. 7, 8 years, and you're fucking doing this. You're acting like a fucking shithead over some fucking bullshit. Like, I mean, most of these guys on the range don't even have an out date, and you're beefing about 8 years, 7 years. Shit.
I don't know what's going on with my camera, bro. Something's up with it.
I remember there was this one guy. He was an old man. He was like 80 years old. He was like an old Jewish mobster, and he was like hooked up with like the Genovese family or something, and he had double life. He got caught in a murder and all that.
Yeah.
And I remember I said, how many, when's your out date? He was like 2385. I'm like, damn, I guess I'll pick you up in a spaceship. I told him.
Yeah, he has to die, come back again.
Yeah. He listen. He was an old Jewish man, like a real nice. You never. But when I read his rap sheet, man, he was a gangster. He was in with like the Genovese family, and he was a Jewish mobster. He knew Frank Sinatra. His name, God, what was Schwartz? His last name was. He was in his 80s. This was back in 2012. He's got to be dead by now.
Dude, I don't know why the fuck my camera's doing this, bro. Hold on.
Got one of those Coney Island specials. How many people are in the chat?
Camera's not even working, bro. Unexpected error. What the fuck, man? This is
Error.
crazy, man.
How many
You
people are
wonder
in the
why my
chat?
camera.
Hello, everybody in the chat.
Now
Yankees for life.
7.
Red Wynette. Derek Lambert. Richard Dowlings, of course. 6 watching. Thanks, Richard. What's going on with Staxx? Don't make sure you have pants on when that
No,
fucking camera comes.
my camera, man, it's a piece of shit. I gotta hook up the new stuff.
just told me you got this new fucking
Yeah,
camera.
I haven't hooked it up yet, man. I don't know how to watch that shit. I don't know how to hook all that shit up.
Well,
I
then
know how
it's
to
don't
I know how to
that
edit stuff and do that, but you know,
tax.
they have a lot of
You,
settings and all that shit. It's a lot, man.
that's why you shouldn't buy anything unless you got a nerd. You gotta have a nerd to set the
RB
shit up.
Docs, what's up, man? I'm sure
You
I'll
gotta
get
have
it,
a
man.
nerd.
I'll just watch a bunch of videos. I'll get it set up. I just
But
haven't had
yeah,
time.
a lot of interesting characters, man. A lot of dudes. You had some dudes. Like I said, smuggling alligator hides. I've met doctors in prison for pill mills, nurses, pharmacists, pill mill. Boom, 18 months at the low, 22 months. Like I had this one doctor in there that we had to put him in protective custody because he could not walk the compound because he was getting extorted. Think about it. Think of a nerd, the biggest nerd, right? Like 5'7", glasses. This doctor gets convicted of triple murder because listen to this. He controls a pill thing, right?
Yeah.
And these doctors were putting out pills under his license, but he was like getting a lot of money for it. Well, 3 kids died from the drugs, but they were in different states.
And he got
So
charged with it?
he got triple life, triple life. This doctor. You know what he told me? He was in PC, Staxx. This dude, this was like Mr. Magoo, man. Everybody, and they knew he had some money because he was a doctor.
So they're trying to extort him, right?
Oh yeah. As soon as he got in, he had to go to PC. They were extorting him. He couldn't, as soon as he got his commissary the first day, he didn't make it back to the room. I mean, his bag was gone. I mean, he was.
Yeah, I've seen that before, man. I've seen people walk in because I've been in the dorms, I've been in cell blocks. I've seen people walk in the dorm and then put their stuff down in front of where they're supposed to go, turn around to go get something from the officer's station, and they just grab their bag and toss it over the wall. And they come back and they're like, "Where's all my shit?" And it's gone. They dispersed it in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, these dudes were like, these big dudes get brought up and like, break it off, motherfucker. Listen, so he goes to PC. He belonged in PC. Trust me, he wasn't. And you know what he tells me? He says to me, goes, you know what I'm going to do, Farlow? And I said, what? He goes, I'm going to study law in here and I'm going to get myself out. He was a medical doctor.
Did he do it?
He had the brains.
He's probably still there, man.
But then I met another dude who was he was from Buffalo, New York. He was called Donald Green. Donald, forget his name, his nickname. Donald Green, Donald Sly Green. He was out of Buffalo. Big time drug kingpin. He got life. Dude's like a fucking legal eagle like you've never seen. The dude walks around with a briefcase. He goes right to the law line. He's gotten people out of jail. He gets everybody out except himself. He can't, you know what I'm saying? He was, he was like friggin', Johnny Cochran, brother. He went to the law library. He used to do all the legal work. He was well-versed, highly intelligent.
I got a picture of him right here.
Yeah, Donald Green. He was part of some big gang. He was a good guy, Donald. Donald's a good man.
What prison did you him in?
Coleman. He was at the Medium when I met Donald. Donald's a good man. I don't think he's ever going to get out.
Right? He wears those sunglasses.
Sly Green. That's him. That's Don. Yep.
Buffalo. So he's a gangster from Buffalo.
Oh yeah, he was a real gangster. That was Nino Brown shit right there, bro.
Yeah, here's a picture of him with Nicky Scarfo.
Yeah, Donald's a very, very he controlled his whole, his drug empire, man. He was a CEO. He did some bad shit, but Donald's definitely a really really good guy, man. And I really have I speak very highly of him. He's exceptionally intelligent, and I know he was able to get. He got one, I think, of the life sentence taken off. I think there he's got some wiggle room. If if the laws change or something, I hope he gets a break, because I think Donald's a good guy. I really do.
Wasn't Nicky Scarfo? He was in the feds, right?
Yeah, he was out of Philly. No, I never got to meet him, but man, I really wished I did, because I'm from Philly. And that would be like meeting fucking, I remember him, in the newspaper every day. I remember him, during those Philly wars. I was there growing up in South Philly when Sal Testa got murdered. I remember that the next day in the newspaper in
Sal
Philly. And
Testa was when they blew up his house, right?
no, that was
Or
his
or
father.
no.
That was the
Yeah, the
chicken man.
chicken man.
Yeah. And I remember that too. You
Where
heard
the
that you heard that for like 7 or 8 blocks. I remember that too, when the father got taken out. Yeah.
he was coming home, right? He was coming home late at night.
Yeah, they blew up his door. Yeah. Bruce Springsteen wrote a song about it. He says it in the song Atlantic City. They blew up the chicken man in Philly last night. That's what they did. I was there. I grew up there. Like I said, I remember when Salvi Testa, they found him on the expressway, and they were finding every other week in the mob, they were finding somebody in the trunk of a car. Every other week in Philly on the news. Back then, you had ABC. You only had 3 news channels: Action, Channel 6, whatever, that guy Jim, whatever his name. I remember seeing at 8 o'clock news at night, whatever, 10 o'clock news, another body found in the car.
It was sad when they killed Salvi, huh?
Yeah, he was really popular. In my cousins knew him very very well, and he was well liked. He was well liked, well respected, and like I said, my cousins they knew him, and they're still alive, And the father used to own a chicken store. My grandmother used to buy chickens from his chicken store.
That's why they called him the Chicken Man.
That's why they called him the Chicken Man.
And then the people who killed them, who blew him up, got killed.
Yeah, that was Narducci, Chicky Narducci. My aunt used to run numbers for him. She was one of his numbers girls. She used to write numbers, and she loved him. She said he was an incredible boss. That he would always give them Christmas bonuses, $200-300 and shit. That's a lot of money back in the friggin' in late 50s, early 70s.
This is Salvador Testa.
Yeah, he was like really he was really popular in the neighborhood. He was a legend. I mean, I didn't. My cousins were from that era. I remember hearing his name, and then of course he got killed. And I remember my father talking about it, because my father was in the criminal underworld too. He was serving time too.
Yeah. How long was your father in prison for?
My father did 15 years, 8 months on a life sentence. He was able to get the life. He got life without parole. First-degree murder, and later on he was able to challenge, and he ended up getting a resentencing hearing, and the judge resentenced him to life with parole, because he was convicted under the old code, where if you got life in prison, it meant 30 years, but at 15 you can go up for parole. So my father, since he was sentenced under the old code, he got resentenced to life with parole. Then the next year he had 15 in, and then he went up for parole 8 months later, and he got out. And I was in the Navy then, and I wrote a letter, because in the parole board, and told him to let him out, and that we were making plans. He was going to come live with me in Seattle, because he needed a place to live, and he knew that I was in the Navy, and that I was a military policeman and all this business, and they felt
what
comfortable.
ended up happening?
No, he got paroled. He got it.
And he stayed good his whole life after that?
Yep. And then now he also did 6 years on an attempted murder charge, like a couple years earlier than that, right? And then he did 18 months on another thing too before that. So it's not like that was his first and only conviction. He had several. But that was the last arrest. And then what happened was he had 15 years, 8 months. He got out on parole, and at the 30-year mark in 1990 or 2017 or whatever it was, they officially discharged him from parole because he had 30 years, and so he was officially, he's not on parole or nothing. He's 86 years old.
Wow.
He's got a new hip. He exercises like a madman. He still lives like a convict. I mean, all his shit is clean. His bathroom, sinks.
But
like
he's got a new lease on life, man, right? And he's doing the right thing, living freedom.
Oh yeah, man. He just, he plays cards all the time, and he's not out doing anything bad anymore.
That's great, man.
He hates this, bro. He hates this YouTube stuff. He hates it. He thinks it's so, because my father's one of those guys. He would never tell on anybody. He did life, and he could have got off of it. And he just doesn't, like, he can't believe this generation is actually, like, you have people that are actually having channels and, like, talking about things.
Yeah, it's information, man. People want to know this type of information.
Yeah, 86. He's, you know what I'm saying? He's 86. He doesn't, that was just different. I mean, my father used to be very close with Joey Merlino's father. And when Joey came to prison in New Jersey, when he got convicted of a state charge, which was I think it was a armored car robbery. When Joey came to prison, my father celled up with Joey because Joey and Joey's father and my father were very close. So my father is close with Joey too. He doesn't, I mean, he would get mad at me saying this, but I mean, it's the truth. He just, he knew the father very well. The father passed away, but they were the same age, Joey's father.
Yeah.
So, and they're from Philly. So my father,
when he came there, he was like, so when he came to prison, he was like taking him under his wing, kind of.
Yeah, well, Joey's father reached out and said, "Hey, my son's coming up here." He said, "All right, good. I'll, make sure he's with me and blah blah blah." And that's what he did, And Joey was a young kid, and then my father and Joey got to be really good friends, and I never I never seen Joey in prison, but if he did, he would recognize my last name.
Yeah.
For sure. My last name, there was a guy from New York, an old time mobster. And one time, and he looked at me and he's like, Farah. He looked at my name. He's like, Farah, do you have is your father so-and-so? I'm like, yeah, it is. He knew who my father was.
Yeah. It's probably,
my father has a nickname. I'm not going to say it, but it's a street name. And when he said, "Are you so-and-so's kid?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." And he was like, just looking at me like, "What happened to you?" Like, in other words, like I'm a fucking corrections officer.
Yeah, like, why'd you go that way, man?
Dude, my father was always like, I don't want to say he discouraged me from doing what I did, military and law enforcement, but he wasn't very happy with it.
I'm sure he wasn't, man.
He was always like, "Why do you got to go do all that around the world? I'll get you a job in the union. You'll be a steel worker or a carpenter, and you'll make all this money." And I was like, "I want to join the military. I want to do this, and then I want to be, I want to be a cop and all this stuff." And my dad's like, "Cop? Are you out of your mind?" Like my father was like, he was never, and then when I retired, he's like, "Well, what are you going to do now? Why don't you open up your own security business and guard some of these rich people, that'll pay money," which a lot of my friends have done. And, and you're a dog handler. You can go overseas and do contract work, which I was going to do. It's about $180,000 a year, but you're away from home year round. You're in Saudi Arabia, you're in Kuwait, you're in all these places, and I was like, "Nah, Dad, I think I'm going to go work for the feds." Feds? What? Federal prison? What, are you crazy? Why are you going to go work? Listen, I used to call my dad from the prison, and when he would see federal prison, he would get so paranoid he wouldn't pick up the phone.
He thought the feds were calling him.
Yes. Do you know
That's
he came to
hilarious.
visit me one time to my house, and I go, Dad, I was just kidding with him. I'm driving in my Jeep. I'm like, Dad, I'm going to bring you to work. Everybody wants me. He goes, no, don't bring me in there. They'll never let me back out. Like, he was laughing. He's like, don't bring me over there. You know, we would drive by the federal prison. Dad, that's where I work, the complex. He's like, don't go near there.
What's good with your YouTube channel? I put a link for your YouTube channel in the description of this. So
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, not at
Ramundi
all.
hit me up. Ramundi said he's coming on the show. So we gotta set
So,
up the Ramundi versus the Stone Sailor.
oh, Jesus,
Gotta
Ramundi,
do
my
it, man.
Ramundi. That's, I mean, what can I say? I mean,
We gotta revisit.
this guy, it's Halloween every day for him. I mean, it's just Ramundi in Wonderland. I mean, you know, it's crazy. But anyway, yeah, we'll do that for sure. And but yeah, my channel, you know, just kind of like you, bro. For the last 2 months, I've kind of just taken a little bit of a break because this stuff can get a little stressful on your mind. And with everything that was going on and all that negativity stuff, like I'm above that. I don't want to hear any of that shit, you know.
Yeah, I ain't got no time for
You
none of
know what
that,
I'm talking
man.
about.
Man,
Yeah, you know what I'm
all the
talking about.
haters could get their ass in the bathroom, man. If I
Yeah,
didn't like you before, I still don't like your asses. So just stay
yeah,
the fuck away from me, man. Do what's
yeah.
best
I
for
mean,
your health.
yeah, we don't need all that, you know, fake Christianity and, you know, and all that crazy, you know, I'm a religious person and then I'm friggin', you know, all rats must die and all this crazy shit. That's just so crazy. I mean, what kind of, you know, let's pray for the soldiers and the starving children. Oh, and all rats must die. Like, what fucking, you know, like where, you know what I mean? I mean, it's insane the stuff that this guy comes up with, and I mean, it really is. You know, people show their true colors, and that's what happened, and that's why everybody's talking about all this. Everything that we predicted, you know, or we, you know, that we saw, now they're seeing, you know, and
Hey, look,
we,
man, there's
yeah,
only a few standing. I'm
yeah,
not
you know.
going anywhere, you know?
No, exactly. No, you went to bigger and better things. You got some experience, you got some life experiences, and I know you got some more knowledge and stuff, and that's what it's all about, you know. And not everything lasts forever, and hell, we don't last forever either.
Listen, man, I do stepping stones in my life. I try to get to a
Yeah,
different place, and
that's how I did it.
I'm moving in the right direction, man. Shout out to everyone out there that supports me. I appreciate all of you, man. I'm
Yeah,
definitely gonna have you on again. I'm gonna start doing the commission meetings again, and I'm gonna have you
good,
come on, man. Yeah,
good,
I'll
good.
have you
Awesome.
on when I have the first one. I'm gonna do it really soon too.
Yeah, and I love, you know, like I said, I love all the good stuff like we talked about. Let's keep all the drama out of it, you know. And I got some, like I said, I've got some really good stories. I mean, I've you know, I've done a lot of things in my life. I've been around the block a time or two. I've been around the world a couple times. I mean, you know, this is, I was always that type of kid, Staxx. I just loved excitement. I loved travel. I loved experiences. I loved life. I loved a lot of women too.
Bro, it's
But I
been
mean,
great traveling, man. I love traveling. I'm going to New York
isn't it? Isn't
probably
it
this week.
incredible? You,
Probably this
I
week.
recommend anybody, you know, go spend a night in jail when you're 18 and then go travel. Get your passport and go travel.
Yeah.
And
You
you
won't
will learn
regret it,
more.
man.
You
Shit.
will learn more than
About
any
patience.
classroom, any teacher will ever teach you if you travel and you see the world and you just have a little bit of knowledge. That way you could look and realize how fortunate we have it in America, but also look at things that, you know, that things that we have that maybe aren't so good, you know, and that, you know, but we're still the greatest country on earth, the bar none. And I've been everywhere. We're the greatest country. We're not perfect. Our criminal justice system needs reforming. We need to legalize cannabis, stop putting people in prison for cannabis and drugs, personal, you know, addicts, treat it as a public health problem, and go after the dealers and the people that are doing these. I mean, is it to the point here we are in the United States, they're more concerned about weed than they are about protecting the schools. I'm being honest. The cops are more concerned about catching you with drugs or
Yeah.
catching you than they are protecting a school. We have to change that. That has to change.
Man, there's tons that have to change, man.
Yeah,
It's insane. Like
and
everything.
we
The
could,
prices are
yeah,
going up. It's insane. We could talk
prices are
about that all
going.
night, bro.
It's terrible, man. It's terrible.
It really
Um,
is.
everything is just so much more expensive now. It's going to the food shopping now, man. I look at the bill and I'm just astonished, astonished. You know,
Yeah, you get like quarter of what you used to get. It's insane.
yes, it is.
See
And
how
then you
long
know
it'll
what else?
last like that. We'll see how long it'll last like that, right?
And you know how they get over on you twice now. Not only you got
Huh.
to pay these prices, but now they make you your own fucking checkout boy and your own bag boy. You have to bag and scan your own shit. Aren't they
Yeah,
getting over? They're
they
getting
are,
over
man.
like,
And then there's a COVID tax on everything you're buying.
oh well, that's up by you, not by me. We don't have that.
Go look at the receipts, man. Go look at our
Not
receipts.
on mine. Not in Florida. We don't have that
COVID
nonsense.
tax, COVID tax
Yeah,
on
that's
every
that's
receipt, man.
Connecticut. That's blue state shit up there. That's why I don't like those Democrats. They tax the hell. And I'm not. I'm a libertarian. I don't want government involved in my life, but they love them. They love them taxes, man. They love them.
Connecticut's a pretty heavy tax state.
Oh, matter of fact, my stepfather was in Danbury. I went to see him there. My stepfather, when he was in the feds, when Danbury was a male prison.
Yeah, Danbury's where they filmed a couple movies.
So when you ask me how was it working, I kind of was preparing myself to work in a prison my whole life. If you really look at it,
Since a
I really
young
was.
boy.
I was. I mean, I
Yeah.
mean, I remember the wanding me, making me through the metal detector. Some, they would get some lady, usually some nice lady, whatever. She'd be a big lady, and she would come and let me look in your shirt, and all this, and but I mean, that was all, was part of the thing, and then of course they're telling me my dad's in the army, and I'm like, where the fuck? This don't look like the TV in the army.
Hey man, it's all good, bro.
Yeah.
You turned out to be a good guy, man.
I try, man. I just try to be myself, man. That's all.
Hey man, that's all you could do.
Yeah, brother.
Shout out to you though, man. You want to give anyone a shout out before we go, bro?
Yeah, shout out to all my subscribers. Shout out to um to you, to everybody else, Chad and everybody. I was on Chad's show. He's going to bring me back for a part 2, and that's it, man. Just freaking, living my life to the fullest, man.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you again for coming on, man.
All right, my brother.
I appreciate everyone who watched my show. I got a lot more episodes coming. I'm starting to schedule things, so stay tuned. It's gonna get real. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Till next time, man. Thanks, bro.